For those of you who don't know, I'm in the creative writing sequence, fiction sequence this year, and since January, I have been working on a novella. I am not going to read the whole thing to you because A, it's not finished, and B, it's already 33 pages, so that's not going to happen. But, and I have a lot of revision to do, so a lot of this stuff might not be in the final, well, probably won't be in the final draft. So I'm going to read an excerpt of it for you guys. So I guess before I start, so it'll make a little more sense. So my story takes place, there's like kind of two different timelines. It takes place in the USSR in the 1960s. There's a girl named Lilia, am I saying that right?
What?
Lilia?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so her name is Lilia. She's a dancer, and she is adopted. She was found when she was a child. Never knew her birth family. And one day, out of the blue, she gets these letters from a woman who claims to be her birth mother's sister. So this is like her aunt. And basically my entire story is this woman's letters to this girl, who this woman is convinced that she has information about Lilia's family that she needs to give Lilia but can't give it out right away. And so what I'm going to be reading is it's letters from Lilia's mother, whose name is Tatiana, letters from her to her sister, letters from Lilia to her aunt. And so there's also this myth of the Firebird that's like this Russian folk tale in it. So I don't want to over explain it. I probably already have. Okay. So this is a letter from Tatiana, the birth mother of this girl, to her sisters. This is back in the 40s. 15 November 1941. My little son, Irina, I cannot tell you how I fear for you and the people of Leningrad. I have heard reports of the bombardment on the city, the lack of food and supplies. I hope you have enough to eat. Do what you can to survive. I won't be able to live with myself if something were to happen to you. Given the circumstances, even I've been praying lately. Irina, I'm 8 months pregnant. I was scared to tell you because I know how you must have felt about me running off with Fyodor, your reservations about the Roma, how much you love children and would do anything to have one if you were able. I couldn't deal with the guilt of keeping it from you any longer, and if we ever met again, you would have discovered it anyway, so there it is. Remember when our cousins came to visit last summer? That little one, Mashka? She ran to my arms and begged me to pick her up, and she was so heavy. It was shocking, so heavy. I could barely hold her, and I said to Uncle, I can't carry her. I hoisted her up by the armpits as best as I could, but she grunted and wriggled out of my arms like a little fish and cried that I had hurt her. And she ran to you, and you swooped her up like she was lighter than a feather and tickled her sweet little chin, and she giggled. I think of that moment often whenever I look down and see myself growing so large. It's cumbersome. I hate that my own body has become a burden to me. And when that stops being a burden, my child will be. You know what they say. From fire to flame. Oh, I must sound absolutely rotten to you. Fyodor would probably agree with you. He can't wait for the baby to arrive. From the high curve of my belly, I'm sure it's a girl, but I know Fyodor wants it so badly to be a boy, to carry on the family line. I just don't know anymore. We've been having horrible arguments for the past few months. He found out that I had been talking about ways to undo the pregnancy. I told him I didn't think he should be surprised, since I told him when I realized I was pregnant how I feel about children, and I said I thought that just the two of us was enough. You and me in the open air, the horses, the fire, the baby, it would change everything. Being a mother, it's so much to worry about. I felt imprisoned in Leningrad by the war, by burdens that shouldn't have been mine. You know that. He put his head in his hands and I kept talking. That's why I left. I feel free with you out here. I love out here with you. Am I not enough? He winced and his dark eyes seemed so full of sorrow. Sadness looks so romantic on him, but then it turned to be something hard and cold, and he got up and left. A few minutes later, I heard glass shattering. I left my place by the fire, stepping over the twigs and into the woods, where I saw Fyodor throwing bottles against tree trunks. The air smelled of vodka. I watched him for a while, shaking, and until he was done. I crossed my arms over my chest. What a waste, I said. He turned to me, and the tears on his cheek were silver rivers glinting in the darkness. Bad for baby, he said. He walked back to the caravans. We haven't really talked since then, but Fyodor's been keeping me on a very close watch to make sure I don't try anything. Oh, Irina, I can't do this. I can't raise a child. I don't know what to do. I can't keep this child. I can't. I refuse to be caged. I just had a thought. Maybe it's crazy. Irina, you can take the baby. Maybe I'm overtired as I'm writing this. My heart feels like it's on fire with hope. Please, would you meet secretly with me and take the baby? I can figure out how to explain to Fyodor later. Yes, this is perfect. Everything the both of us have hoped for. I know you've always wanted a child anyway. I know you'd take good care of it. Oh, you'd finally get to be a mother. And I'd be just Tatiana, as always. I feel as though I've been struck by lightning. My hand aches. I can't write any longer, neither this letter nor the last part of that story I was writing to you about the Firebird. I'll have to wait for another time. Stay safe, little son. Please, please hurry back with a response. I would be forever grateful. So the next letter is, this is sent to Lilia, this one's daughter, by Irina. So the aunt sends the daughter the mother's letter, and now the daughter is responding to Irina. 5 April 1960. Irina, do not come over here. You have gone far enough. You just barged into my life with your letters and this ridiculous story about my birth mother and some stupid gypsy and the Firebird and expect me to drop everything and invite all of it into my life after 18 years? I want nothing more to do with it. Why does that surprise you? They abandoned me. You didn't take me in. Obviously, Tatiana didn't want me. And as far as I'm concerned, she is not my mother, you are not my aunt, and none of you are welcome in my life. Anyway, if you truly care for me and my well-being, as you claim to do, you would have had the sense to leave me well enough alone. I was happy until you contacted me. I'm on my way to becoming a ballerina, and you have no right to come in here and ruin it all and cause me so much pain in your letters and your secrets and your stupid conspiracy theories. I will no longer indulge what is clearly madness. If you show up in Moscow, I swear to you that I will have my father call the police and have you arrested and committed to an institution where, I assure you, the prison wardens will not take your ravings as lightly. I don't want to have to resort to anything such as that, but consider yourself warned. I will not tolerate this any longer. Lilia. 14 April 1960. Dear Lilia, I'm sorry, but I must see you. I regret what pain this has caused you, what this may mean for me, but this secret, it's like a bomb. The longer I wait, the deadlier it becomes. Irina. 25th April 1960. Dear Lilia, I don't know what to say. I cannot express in words the sorrow I feel at the pain I have caused you. I've ruined everything, as I always do. I only came because I thought I might be able to sneak backstage after the show and finally get a chance to talk with you, since it is apparent that you do not want to come to me, which is understandable, especially now that I've utterly destroyed any chance of reconciling with you. So, since we'll likely never see each other in person, this will be my last letter to you. I'm sorry I had to send it this way, hidden in that book that was delivered to your room at the academy, but after you read it, I hope you'll understand why I've done everything I have. I'll try to explain everything the best I can. I had to come and see you in person in Moscow, and the only night I could think of, the only night that I knew exactly where you would be, was at your performance of Don Quixote. As I took my seat in the audience, I imagined you waiting in the wings. It probably felt like an eternity to you, or maybe only a fraction of a second. The house was dark, and I could hear the newly installed electric light bulbs buzzing from downstage. I'm sure it had taken months to get funds from the state, and a longer time to obtain enough of them to replace all the old gas lights in the theater. The red curtains quivered in anticipation. The house was full, most of it obscured by shadow, but I could just make out the 3 judges from the Bolshoi Ballet, sitting in their private box on the right above the main floor, ready to watch you shine. It's strange to me how nervous and proud of you I felt at that moment, and I wondered if this was what it felt like for Yevgenia every time she came to one of your performances and watched you dance. For a minute, I forgot what I was really there for. The maestro stirred his baton and the music for Khitri's entrance began, and then you entered, off stage left, rose up onto your toes and danced. You had clearly forgotten about any letters I sent you, any strange tales of your mother. Only this moment existed, only this place. Your red costume twirled around you and your fan fluttered and waved like I imagined a blackbird would about your hand. The castanets clicked, orchestra soaring. I'd never seen anything quite like it in my life. You see, Tati and I could never afford the ballet. So when I saw you twirling and pirouetting and leaping, flying across the stage, I was overcome. Lilia, you looked so much like her. It was like seeing her all over again. You were beautiful. But then you heard me as I wept, and as you were leaping across the stage, you turned to look at who it was that sat in your front row performance and dared to make a sound. Your eyes widened, and I knew you had seen me. I knew that you knew who I was. And even someone with an untrained eye like me could see that on that 3rd leap, something was off. Your foot met the stage, twisted and slipped. I saw your body collide with the wood. I heard a crack, and your left thigh buckled somewhere between your hip and your knee socket. Everyone gasped when you screamed, the yelp of a wild thing. You lost consciousness and fell to the floor. I now see that coming to your performance was a terrible idea. It was thoughtless and stupid of me, really. I cannot cling to the foolish hope that you will agree to meet with me any longer, but maybe my actions will make more sense to you once you read this. What I've been waiting to tell you, at least in these explicit words, for so long. The truth about you, about your mother.